Good morning. Don't make me use a whistle. There you go. Good job. Good job. So my name is Nick Stoneman, and as a member of the Hall of Honor Selection Committee, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to Bowdoin College's 16th Annual Hall of Honor Recognition Ceremony here in the beautiful Barry Mills Hall. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Over the last 45 years, which makes me kind of old, I've had the pleasure of being connected to the college's athletic program, wearing a range of different hats, as a player, as a coach, as a parent of two student athletes and a third son-in-law student athlete here at Bowdoin, and as an alum. And I share that with you because that range of experiences has given me a deep appreciation for what it means to be able to compete and coach in the Bowdoin College athletic program, and it makes me all the more appreciative of our inductees here today, whom we're going to be hearing from shortly. To get today's program underway, please join me in giving a warm polar bear welcome to the President of Bowdoin College, Safa Zaki. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. What a great crowd. Thank you all for being here and welcome to this wonderful ceremony. I'm happy to be with you to recognize 6 extraordinary individuals who exemplify the very best of Bowdoin athletics. I'll be applauding with all of you as they are introduced, but I want to offer my personal congratulations to each of them. At Bowdoin, we celebrate athletics as a vital part of the college experience. Through training and competing and reflecting on their involvement, students come to understand themselves and their peers. They learn about individual effort, and they also learn about how individuals come together to create a team. They take advice from coaches and teammates on how to grow, on how to become better. The early practices, I was just hearing about those, the bus rides through New England winters, and the shared moments of triumph and disappointment are all part of this experience. Teammates become family, coaches become mentors for life. Each of today's inductees' dedication to their sports exemplifies the very best of what a Bowdoin education represents: the pursuit of excellence in all endeavors and the cultivations of resilience and integrity. As you will soon hear, these individuals excelled in competition, and they formed bonds that transcended the lines on the field and the time on the clock. As I've said many times, the best part of my day, the very best part, is the time I get to spend with our students. In conversation with them, I sometimes hear about the big game they're preparing for, or how they're juggling it all, and how much they depend on their teammates. Athletics is in the fabric of this community. When I see them giving their all in a playoff game, when I hear their friends and classmates cheering and roaring on the sidelines and in the stands, it reminds me how important and joyful the athletic experience is, and not just for those competing, but for the Bowdoin community, for all of us. Thank you all for being here this morning and for showing your support for Bowdoin athletics. And congratulations again to our newest Hall of Honor members. Thank you.
Thank you, Safa. We're very grateful for you being here with us today and for all that you do throughout the course of the year for our community here at Bowdoin. And as the Director of Athletics at Bowdoin, I'm especially grateful to have a president and a leader at Bowdoin who cares so deeply about the student experience, as Safa mentioned. And one of the things that surprised me when Safa became our president is that she's not shy at all about jumping right into the student section with our students at games. And it gave me a few heart palpitations the first time that this happened at a Colby men's hockey game, but we survived, and I'm just really grateful for all of your support. So thank you, Safa. Our ceremony today provides an opportunity to celebrate members of our community that have excelled athletically within the context of the small college liberal arts environment that we all hold so dearly. Now in its 16th induction cycle, the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor was established in 2002 to recognize Bowdoin's finest athletes and citizens. As outlined in our bylaws, the purpose of the Hall of Honor is to celebrate and perpetuate the memory of those who have brought distinction, honor, and excellence to Bowdoin through their achievement in athletics, and we will certainly do so today. At the outset of our program, I would just like to recognize the members of our selection committee. Many of them are here with us today. It's safe to say that their job is not an easy one, given the quality of the candidate pool that we have for our Hall of Honor, and we're incredibly grateful for the time that they spend over the course of about a year meeting to discuss our nominees and eventually help us land at an incredible class like the one that we will induct today. So please join me in thanking Dana Verrill from the class of 1972, Nick Stoneman, who we heard from a moment ago from the class of 1983, Chris Roy from the class of 1992, Courtney Ruggles from the class of 2004, Amy Shopcorn from the class of 2000, Kate Chin from the class of 2008, and Pam Herder from the class of 2015. Thank you very much for your work and support of Bowdoin Athletics. I hope that all of you, while you're on campus today, will be able to take a few minutes and visit the lobby of the Buck Center, just outside of Memorial Gymnasium and the Buck Fitness Center. We have a digital display in the lobby with additional background and statistics of all of our Hall of Honor inductees over the 16th induction cycle that we've had, including our current inductees today. And we're very, very fortunate to have 5 members of our Hall of Honor here with us today. So if you could help me in giving a warm welcome to Lindsay McNamara from the class of 2009. Tom Ryan from the class of 1993. Current head women's ice hockey coach and member of the class of 2005, Marissa O'Neill. And 2 of the incredible coaches and mentors, as Safa referred to in her remarks, coaches Terry Mahar and John Cullen. Before we move forward with our first inductee of the day, a quick thank you to David Peck from the class of 2018, who will moderate our conversations with each of our inductees throughout the course of our program. And also a big thank you to Associate Athletic Director for Communications, Jim Caton, for all of the work that he did in putting together the statistics and biographical information for our committee. Jim, along with Secretary of Development and College Relations, John Cross, from the class of 1976, really are the historical record keepers of athletics at Bowdoin. We're incredibly grateful for their work leading up to and including our event today. So please join me in a round of thanks for them. So lastly, and perhaps most importantly, a big thank you to Lindsay Lassard, who's in the back of the room there by the doors. Lindsay was here at 7 o'clock this morning to make sure that everything went smoothly for all of us, and that's the type of work ethic and support that we receive from her throughout the entire course of the year. She's a Senior Associate Director of Alumni Relations, and we're incredibly fortunate to have her as a partner for a lot of the things that we do with athletics. So thank you very much, Lindsay, for all of your work. So congratulations to Tom, Bill, Stacey, Shelly, Kristi, and Julia on your induction into the Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor. Your contributions to Bowdoin Athletics, our campus community, and all of the communities that have been fortunate enough to have you as a member have made us incredibly proud and have set a high standard for our current student athletes and coaches to aspire to achieve. At this time, I'd like to invite David Peck to join us on the stage. Dave, as I mentioned, is a member of the class of 2018. Dave was a baseball and football player at Bowdoin. He has spent many years working in the media, and we are very fortunate to have him here to help orchestrate our conversations. Thank you, Dave. And to begin our ceremony today, please join me in welcoming Catherine Ouellette to our stage to introduce our first inductee. Catherine is a member of the class of 2026, an African Studies and Government and Legal Studies double major, captain of our track team, member of the residential life staff, and she's also a member of the a cappella group Miscellanea. In addition to holding the 8th fastest 400-meter time and 5th fastest 100-meter hurdle time in school history, Catherine is also an all-NESCAC academic team honoree. Please join me in welcoming Catherine to introduce our first inductee.
Thank you for that intro. But yes, my name is Catherine Ouellette. I'm a senior, so class of 2026. Proud member of the Bowdoin track and field team, as you heard. Come see us run today, 1 p.m. to 4:30. I'm hurdling at 1:30, so perfect timing. And I have the privilege of introducing our first inductee, Stacey Jones-Lee, an icon. Stacey Jones-Lee, class of 2000, you are a powerhouse in Bowdoin athletics, a remarkable and rare student athlete whose name became synonymous with effort, commitment, and excellence. A multi-sport star, you earned multiple individual NESCAC championships and NCAA All-American honors in both indoor and outdoor track and field, while also serving as a 4-year starter and captain of Bowdoin volleyball. Your record-setting performances and appearances at multiple NCAA championships place you amongst Bowdoin's most decorated track and field athletes, as well as among the elite in all collegiate track and field. But those accomplishments, impressive as they are, only begin to capture the drive, discipline, and balance you brought to your years as a student athlete and leader at Bowdoin College. You are known not just for winning, but for working. Your dedication was tireless, your passion was infectious, and your standards were high. Your close friend and roommate described your days at Bowdoin as shaped by training, competition, and quiet perseverance. You led your volleyball team to strong seasons as both a consistent presence on the court and a respected captain. In track and field, you graduated holding a school record in indoor shot put, and you still own, nearly 3 decades later, the program record in the discus. Off the field, yep. To this day. Off the field, you continue to embody the ideals of a Bowdoin education. You excelled academically and contributed significantly to campus life, becoming a true leader in every sense. As president of the Rest Room African American Society for 2 years, you helped foster community, dialogue, and belonging in an experience with a group of people who are instrumental in your own success and growth. You also served as a member of residential life staff, helping to shape the Bowdoin experience for your peers through mentorship and support. After graduation, not surprisingly, you became an educator yourself, helping to positively shape residential life, student experience, and school culture, first at Bowdoin, then at St. Paul's in Concord, New Hampshire, next at St. Paul's School in Southborough, Massachusetts, and currently in your leadership role at the Mount Vernon School in Atlanta, Georgia. As in your record-setting days as a student athlete at Bowdoin, your professional success has been defined not by individual achievements, but by your humility, consistency, and your commitment to every team and community which you're a part of. In recognition of your extraordinary impact as a two-sport athlete, your record-breaking performances, and your legacy of leadership, perseverance, and excellence, we are proud to induct you into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor. Round of applause, please, for Stacey.
So Catherine did mention a track meet later today, and we talked about how there might be an alumni aspect to it. So what are the odds? We all want to know.
Not competing. I will be there cheering on. Let's get a Go You Bears. Go, you Bears! But I will not be picking up a 40-pound weight without any preparation at all.
Which is fair when you have a record that's lasted over a quarter century. But beyond, even the athletics, we hear about balancing two sports, a leader in both, but also what you did off the court, right, off the track, off the athletic fields. Why was it important for your Bowdoin experience to be in Res Life, be a leader for some of these community and campus sort of events and organizations? How did that shape you as your Bowdoin experience went on?
I don't know if while I was here, I thought that those things were important. It's just what I did. So shout out to Caleb Lee, my first child, Case and Lee, the second child. I told them I'd get that in there for them. But I have here today, I've got my mom, I have my mother-in-law, I've got aunts, I've got high school friends, my freshman roommates from Main Hall are here. I've got teammates, friends. And I just come from a home where we did things, we stepped up. So whether it was leadership in my church, in my high school, I was busy. I was a part of things, and that's just part of the tradition that I come from. So when I got to Bowdoin, just thinking about where I would be involved, I just found the things that made me feel like I was at home, and that was stepping in and taking ownership and supporting the community that was around me and doing the things that I love. So hence 3 seasons of athletics every year.
Was it hard? I'm sure it was difficult, but it sounds like that was where you were most comfortable. How did you kind of have the energy to just keep going?
Perpetually doing. So Bowdoin makes it really easy. I love in Tim, your introduction, thinking about the importance of small, residential, liberal arts education. I actually believe it's the biggest luxury there is in the world. All I had to do was wake up and think. That's it. Food was provided. Shout out to Bowdoin Dining Services, which keeps us healthy and well. So I was nourished both physically, mentally. My classes and things were engaging. In terms of the people that supported the athletic program, I think about Gene Mayo in the athletic training room when it didn't look like it does now, right? And we had an E-stem machine was about as great as it got. And so the environment was set. And really, it's just up to the individuals that are here to take advantage and plug into it.
As far as your accomplishments in track and field, obviously we heard about the record. Do you remember when you set do you remember the throw? Do you remember the moment? Take us through that. And in that moment, did you expect that we'd be sitting here still talking about it as the unbeatable top of the list throw?
No, I didn't. So this is, being here right now today is also part of just a really cool moment in life. So I just recently received an award from the Atlanta Business Chronicle as one of Atlanta's top diversity business officers in the city. And then this coming on top of it. And someone asked me about it, and I think the question was, if there was a movie about your life, what would it be called? And it would be called Did It, Done It, and Just Didn't Know It. Because it's this moment of recognition, but it's been building. It's intentional, and so I've done the work. I've done the studying. I did the practices. I did the training, and it just happened to land me really great results. But that meet was not unlike when I came to Bowdoin. So my mom, my dad, and my granny, we got in a Ford Aerostar and drove from Kansas City, Kansas to Brunswick, Maine. They dropped me off in that van. And that track meet you're talking about, it was the same. It was my mom, my dad, and my granny. They drove to Minnesota to watch me throw in Bloomington, right? And it was a tough meet for me. I remember just make it to finals. That's what you want to do. You just want to make it to finals. And it was actually the last throw in the first round that got me to finals. And I still hadn't had the throw I was looking for. And like a film, it was the last throw. It just was let it rip. But I don't think I knew that it would be standing 27 years later as a school record, for sure.
Is there a moment, whether it was that one or another one, or even in volleyball, where you look back on still to this day and think about, or it brings you joy or makes you smile, whether it was a record or not? Is there something that comes to mind where it's, wow, that was pretty cool. Maybe I didn't even realize it
Yeah, I think it's the whole package. So I'm actually really surprised in some ways that there are photos of me. Like I reached out to teammates on Facebook and I was like, anybody have a picture of me doing anything? But especially in track and field, as a thrower, you're out on your own, right? And by the time I got back to the track to cheer for my teammates, it was like halfway through the long distance races at the end, right? The thing was kind of over. And so you work as an athlete and someone who's coached, and what I've learned is there are a lot of kids that play sports. There's not a lot of athletes. And for me, the difference is that mental capacity and that aspect. When things are hard, you don't try harder. When things are hard, you relax into what you know you do well and let it come easily. And so that is one of the things that really kind of stands with me is you work really hard for the one throw or the one hit or the one game where it all comes together, the mental, the physical, and your heart all at the same time. But it doesn't happen often, even for pros. It's all about those 30 seconds where everything comes together at the same time.
Right. I want to ask, how many current student athletes or aspiring college student athletes are in the crowd? Just raise your hand real quick. Okay. Quite a few, especially in this corner. I do want to ask, like, if you could give them a message, right, with all your experience, not only playing but also in education, what would you say to a current student athlete or a younger student athlete who's aspiring to play? And maybe it relates to the last answer, but something that you learned or maybe wish you knew or could help somebody who's going to go through it or is going through it.
Yeah, you just keep going. So I was recounting with our current head track and field coach that I never had a throwing coach that threw, ever. Never. Like at all in my career. Coach Lee coached me starting like 7th grade. I actually wanted to play football. And Coach Lee was like, if you make the team, you can play. And this is 7th grade. Then I went home and my dad was like, no way. So then I ended up throwing for Coach Lee on the track team instead at Arrowhead Middle School. And but from that point on, the people that coached me had never been throwers. So I would sit in Farley Fieldhouse with the throws coach and we would watch video and read books together. I'm actually pretty embarrassed to say I actually never had a consistent weight training program. Never. And so the success that I had in throws was really around technique. So I do wonder, man, if I had been serious about weight training, maybe we'd be going to the Olympics. I don't know.
All right,
like,
the record.
I did not have a consistent weightlifting program, which blows my mind now when I look back. So it doesn't matter the facility you're in. It doesn't matter where your coaches come from. If you're excited about it and commit to it, you can land it. The technique and most of all the mental capacity to feel it, to let it go. I mean, that's so important with volleyball. You can't linger on a point. You can't linger on a point. And so get the next make, get the next throw, and keep going with it. But it's possible. You can reach any level of success if you just keep going.
Any special groups of people or people you want to thank or shout out you have? I just wanted to give you the floor for.
Oh, there are so many. First of all, my mom, Ellen Jones. Please clap for my mom. And my dad is not with us. We lost my dad a few years ago. But for them, just having the faith to literally drive from Kansas and leave me in this place. And my parents only saw Bowdoin twice. That's when they dropped me off and when they came for graduation. And so when I talk about the support and the sustainable nature of the community, plugging into those resources is so important. Tim Foster, who's my first-year dean, Lynn Ruddy, I mean, the list goes on and on. So for everyone here who's had any part, when I learned I was getting this honor, I blasted it everywhere. And I'm like, everybody is welcome, because I absolutely come from a tradition, and I know it to be true in my life, that there's nothing that I have ever done that I do by myself. Maya Angelou has a great poem about grandmothers, and it says, when you walk into a room, you're never alone. And I know that when I walk into a room, there are tens of thousands that are with me, either through their prayers or their specific touches and their words of encouragement that I've had along the way. So I am thankful for all of you because you're all part of the Bowdoin community, and that is really special to me.
Well said. Congratulations,
Thank
Stacey.
you.
Thank you so much. Stacey Jones-Lee, thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and congratulations, Stacey. Stacey has set a high bar for the rest of our inductees today. Very well done. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome Anyi Sun from our women's ice hockey team to the podium. Anyi is a double major in computer science and math, and is also completing a minor in visual arts, who during her time at Bowdoin has been steadfastly committed to supporting the experience of her peers through her involvement with our Athletes of Color Coalition and our Student Athlete Advisory Committee, a group that Anyi is currently serving as the president for. An all NESCAC academic team honoree, Anyi has played in 76 games for our women's ice hockey team, tallying 17 goals and 19 assists. Anyi, we're very grateful for you being with us today to introduce our next inductee.
Thank you, Tim. Hello, I'm Anyi Sun of the class of 2026 and a member of the women's ice hockey program. I'm excited to be here today to introduce our next inductee, Shelly Chessie Miller of the class of 2003, the most prolific forward in the history of Bowdoin College women's ice hockey program. You led your team to extraordinary success, while at the same time rewriting the Bowdoin record books with your individual achievements. To this day, you stand as the career points leader for the program, your remarkable 179 points remaining the benchmark as women's ice hockey enters its 5th decade at Bowdoin. A standout two-sport athlete at Bowdoin, you were co-captain of the 2002 women's soccer team, helping to lead the team to an exemplary record of 12 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses, tying the program record for fewest losses in a season. But it was in women's ice hockey that you made your indelible mark. Beginning in your first season when you led the team in scoring and were named the 2000 ECAC Rookie of the Year, as well as Bowdoin's outstanding first-year female athlete. The promise you showed in your first year was realized over your record-setting career as you led the women's ice hockey team in scoring in each of your 4 seasons. Both a ruthless scorer and selfless creator, you graduated as the program's all-time leader in points with 179, and career assists with 96, and season assists 31 in 2003, as well as second all-time in career goals, which is 83, positions that you still hold today. A remarkable 14 of your 83 career goals were also game winners. Your individual success drove the team's collective success, paving the way for the program's first ever NESCAC championship in 2002 and a pair of NCAA Division III tournament semifinal appearances in 2002 and 2003. You were named as a first-team All-American as well as a member of the All-NESCAC first team in each of those years. Your achievements garnered national attention in your senior year as you were spotlighted in Sports Illustrated's March 24, 2003 issue on the eve of the NESCAC tournament as part of its Faces in the Crowd feature. Chessie, a senior forward at Bowdoin College, the magazine noted, is the school's all-time leading female scorer. She helped the Polar Bears become the only college hockey team, men's or women's, to enter conference tournament play this season undefeated, with 20 wins, 0 ties, and 3 losses. At the conclusion of the season, you received Bowdoin's Lucy L. Schulman Award for Outstanding Female Athlete, an honor that recognized you as the female student athlete judged most outstanding over the course of her collegiate career, which you shared with another of this year's Hall of Honor inductees, Kristi Ouellette. For your record-setting achievements, your leadership as a standout two-sport student athlete, and the collective team success that your individual accomplishments spearheaded, we are honored to celebrate your induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor.
featured in Sports Illustrated. Do you remember that?
I do. I didn't have to.
What was that like? I mean, let's start there. That stood out.
Well, I didn't have to stand in a beer line after that. Everybody just kept giving me drinks.
Unbelievable. I mean, when you look back, when you hear all those, the titles, the goals, when you hear most prolific forward in Bowdoin women's ice hockey history, how do you react? What do you think of? What goes through your head when you hear that?
I guess I'm just really proud of the accomplishment and being here today and my teammates, I guess. I don't really remember very specific stuff, just the group of being in the locker room and the wins and the losses and stuff like that you could only get with collegiate sports and being part of a team like that.
One of the other things was the amount of clutch goals you had, game-winning goals, right? And I think a lot of athletes try and figure out what makes somebody clutch. What is the mindset they get into? How do they do that? Do you remember kind of, maybe not the specific moments, but if things did slow down, why were you able to have so much success in the biggest moments? And is it something that you still kind of are able to carry to today in different aspects? Like, is it something you note or think about?
Yeah, I feel like I probably owe a lot of successes to my teammates, and Coach Amadon was a fantastic coach. I think I loved her practices, and I coach my kids now, and I don't really remember specific.
Yeah. Well, no, let's go
I didn't want to go after Stacey, I'll tell you that.
I mean, you're a coach now. What kind of coach are you?
I think a very supportive coach. Yeah. I'm very encouraging. Yeah, I can say that.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of that early 2000s run, right? You guys win NESCACs. You beat Middlebury in the NCAA tournament. It's always Middlebury. Everyone I talk to has a Middlebury story. What was it like being a part of those teams? And it's a simple question, but why were they successful? What was kind of the reason?
I guess I think our years that we were here was just beyond special of our teammates, our coaches, and I mean, some of them are here right now, and Jillian and Marissa and my roommates. It was just like a special group that, looking at the banners in the rink, it's still there. I think it was something that, I think we knew at the time was going to, even outlast our 4 years. I think it was like a special moment for women's hockey, and just a special moment to be on campus. I think it was up and coming.
Yeah, I mean, to have sort of that, to be sort of like the groundwork, if you will. What does that mean to you, to know that you kind of, and your teammates in that era sort of laid the foundation at a time where, women's ice hockey was coming on, right? Women's soccer nationally was coming on too. Describe sort of that moment for you, just as a player.
I think, it was really exciting to be at that ground level. And I think it was, I came from New Brunswick, Canada, and I played a lot of sports before soccer and hockey, and it was my high school hockey coach. I only started playing hockey in grade 11 when they finally got a women's program. So he was the one that really encouraged me to try to find somewhere in the States. And I actually went to Choate for a year, and my soccer coach is sitting there from Choate. But it was an exciting time to come to the States. And, soccer was becoming huge, and women's hockey was becoming huge. And it was exciting that, we were kind of the start of it, even in Canada, that we didn't have women's hockey. And it was a big development years that I was starting.
What was it about Bowdoin? Why Bowdoin? New Brunswick to Brunswick? Maybe?
It was a big move. It was great, actually. I went to Choate for 1 year. I did a postgraduate year. And then I think I applied to 14 schools. And ultimately, a lot of the schools wanted me to pick one sport. So I did love my campus visit to Bowdoin, and the fact that I could play soccer and hockey here was a big deciding factor. And then It's 5 hours from my house, which also helped. It's not driving from Kansas. My parents were at every soccer, hockey game for 4 years. So I think that was a big point, too.
How did it kind of shift sport to sport? Whether it was your personality within the team or the personalities of the team, how did the two sports complement each other and the experiences sort of kind of coexist?
Yeah, I guess both teams were a very different group of girls. Both coaches were very different coaches. I got so much support from both coaches, and I got in trouble with both coaches.
We'll save that question for the
no. They know. But I feel like I think this school is just supportive of the two-sport athletes. And like Coach Cullen loved to make us run, which I kind of loved, the extreme pain. And then I think I was ready for hockey. While the hockey team was doing like off-ice training, I was running at soccer. So I think it complemented. And both teams, I will have friends and family here for the rest of my life. Like, it was just really two great groups of girls.
Do you have, and I want to ask this to everyone, like, do you have a message to current student athletes or, younger up-and-coming student athletes that you think about based on your experience?
Yeah, I guess I would say stay on the ice or on the field for that extra 5 or 10. I think when I was here, I wanted to be successful, but as soon as that whistle went, I was out. Like, I was fighting Jillian for the shower before it got cold. But, I look back and think, I should have stayed for an extra 5, 10, work on my shot a little bit more. So, it's so little, but it would mean so much. So I would say that to the younger athletes is stay out 5 more minutes.
That's fair. I would also say you are the record holder in many, so, give yourself some credit. But no, thank you so much. Are there any thank yous or shout outs? I just want to give you the floor. Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. You're well prepared. That's awesome.
I'm prepared. Okay. I wanted to thank Coach Cullen. He is here today. He's a legend. Where is he? Yeah. I mean, he's such an incredible coach, but just a human being. One of the kindest people, most supportive. I always felt cared for and supported, and he's just a fantastic person. And I'm so grateful for Michelle Amidon. I loved how she ran practices. Great coach. I said, Coach Cullen, kindest human on the planet. My roommates that are here, it's so nice to see you guys. So generous of you to take your time to be here. My teammates who showed up make everything worth it. I made a family here with these girls, and they're so incredible. You can see by showing up today. My father and mother-in-law are here from California. They came before I was even married to come watch me play, and now they're back to support me today. My kids are here. Scout is 7. She's a basketball player, soccer player, football player. She does it all. I got Brody. He is 11. He's a soccer player, a wrestler, and a hockey player. And my oldest is 14, Joel. He's excelling in parkour, and he is an inspiration. He is that kid that will go that extra, not 5 minutes, an extra hour. So it's so cool. My husband, he traveled to every soccer and hockey game his senior year, and looking back and reflecting, it showed me like what husband and father you would be, to be that supportive of me then and still now with the camera. My parents, looking what they did is exactly why I'm here now. They did everything for me. They drove probably somewhere for multiple sports, multiple teams every single weekend in my childhood. Sometimes I remember playing on different teams, same weekend, and they made it all happen. And once at Bowdoin, they never missed a game home and away. They are incredible humans, and I am so grateful, and thank you.
Well, congratulations again. Yeah, congratulations. That was awesome.
Congratulations, Shelly. I'm pleased to introduce our next presenter, Alex Byrne, of our men's lacrosse team. Alex is an economics major with a minor in history who is serving as a captain of our men's lacrosse program this spring. Alex is a all-NESCAC academic team member who has played 40 games as a long-stick committee for our men's lacrosse team, registering 5 goals and 2 assists over his career to date. And last year he was 3rd on our team in ground balls and 2nd in caused turnovers for a program that advanced to the national semifinals. Alex, thank you for joining us today to introduce our next inductee.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Byrne. Thank you, Tim, for the introduction. I'm a senior on the men's lacrosse team here at Bowdoin, and I have the honor of welcoming legendary coach Tom McCabe into the Bowdoin Athletics Hall of Honor. Coach McCabe, the winningest coach in the history of the Bowdoin men's lacrosse program, your extraordinary achievements on the field were but one indicator of the profound impact you made on generations of student athletes at Bowdoin, and a prelude to your significant role in growing the sport of lacrosse internationally. Your 22 years at the helm of the men's lacrosse program stands as the longest tenure in program history, and during that time you racked up 229 wins, the most of any coach in the history of the program, and 12th all-time in wins in all of Division III. Your Polar Bear teams twice were crowned the ECAC champions in 1992 and 2001, and twice qualified for the NCAA Division III championships, including the program's first ever NCAA bid and win in 2008. In 2012, in your final season as head coach at Bowdoin, you were honored as both the NESCAC Coach of the Year and New England Division III Coach of the Year. Despite all of your individual and team success and your reputation as a tactical master of the sport, your former players remember you most vividly for your support, mentorship, and caring. As one former team captain explained of you, every year I've been here, we've been to the NESCAC semifinals, and that's his coaching. But when I think of Coach, I think of his generosity as a person. He honestly cares about everyone on the team as though they're a son of his. After retiring from Bowdoin, you embarked on a 2.5-year stint with the Peace Corps with your wife, Pat, providing vital health education in Tanzania. It was that experience that reignited your passion for coaching lacrosse and growing the sport internationally, and leading you to accept a role as a World Lacrosse Ambassador in Africa for the World Lacrosse Organization. Having previously coached the Wales national lacrosse team in the European Championships in the 90s, you also recently accepted the challenge of coaching the Slovakian national team in 2022 and the Polish national team in 2025. Now back in Maine, you unsurprisingly answered the call to return to Bowdoin and serve as a volunteer assistant coach for the men's lacrosse team, once again sharing your passion and expertise with the student athletes about whom you care so deeply. A former Bowdoin athletic director called you a special person, and both a great coach and great educator, and the legions of former players you supported and encouraged to develop as athletes and as people stand as a testament to those descriptors. In recognition of your extraordinary legacy, which includes unprecedented success, as well as your profound impact on the Bowdoin men's lacrosse program, the many student athletes who benefited so transformationally from your mentorship in the sport of lacrosse worldwide, we are so proud to celebrate your well-earned induction into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor. To the top.
Coach, you draw a pretty big crowd. It just kind of flooded in there. I mean, so many years, so many connections to this college, this region, the state of Maine. What does it mean, I guess, first of all, to be sitting here right now, and when you showed up in 89, 90, whatever it was in that era, early 90s, did you imagine that you might be right here?
No, never did, and this is such a thrill. I mean,
when you got here, right? Coach Mort LaPointe, a legend in his own right. You step in, you have success. We heard about kind of that '92 season. What was it like taking over the program, your relationship with Coach, and how did that kind of evolve through your career? What did you learn, and kind of how did you make it your own?
Mort, again, was an incredibly successful coach here at Bowdoin, a great friend, and he was smart. He my first year, he kind of stepped back and let me make my own mistakes, and then after that, he became a regular in my office, drawing up plays, offense, defense. He loved the sport. He loved Bowdoin lacrosse. He loved the players and took pride in this program here. So he was ended up being a terrific friend, mentor to me, and I've learned a lot from him, and as did a lot of the young men that are in the room here.
What do you kind of look back at most fondly, right? Is it the wins, the preparation, the conversations with other coaches, obviously the act of coaching the players? Like, what still sticks with you today, and is there a moment or a memory that you smile when you think about? Maybe it's not what you thought it would be in the moment.
Over the years, the most important thing, I quite frankly have forgotten a lot of the wins and losses, and those aren't really what defined, I think, our program. It's always been about the relationships with the young men here, and the current players, coaches. That's been the most important thing. It hasn't been, well, we had a lot of fun on the field. That's not what I feel that defines me and defines my idea of success. It's really about the relationships and the people here. I can visit any city in the country and I'll have a room. It's really cool. It's pretty cool.
A lot of the people you coach, your peers, talk about your values, integrity, preparation, all that, instilling that in generations of athletes, and still doing that today. Why was that so important?
Grab a couple notes. We had these questions fed to us a little bit beforehand, but quite frankly, I'm not as bright as the rest of these inductees here today. So I need a little help to jog my memory.
There's
here.
There's preparation right there. Case in point.
Yeah. So the things I learned, and I think that we wanted to share with players, appreciate the journey. It's not about the final product. It's how you got there. So that's where we learn lessons. I talked to our team last year about being great and how do you get there, and it's the things that you do along the way that define us. It's not necessarily the end game, but it's the fun we have and the relationships and things that happen along the way.
What did you learn from the players? I mean, you're surrounded by year after year. It cycles through. Generations change. The kids coming in change over the years. What did you kind of take away? What did you learn?
One of the top things I learned from our players is don't take yourself too seriously. And the second part is it's not about me, and it never has been. So it's always been about the young men that I coached, and still today that's where I get my gratification from. And again, that was I learned a lot of other things too along the way. Probably how to chug a beer. I'm not sure. That was after the season. That was after they graduated.
For the record, we got a couple of cameras here. For the record.
Yeah. And, so again, and still continue today to learn from our players. And the biggest thing is, when I was a young coach, I thought I had all the answers. And the longer I coached, the more I realized how little I knew. So became more of a sponge the longer I coached and worked harder and learned the game and learned about people and so on.
And we heard about your time in the Peace Corps. What kind of went into that decision and that experience? How did it influence what you wanted to do after and sort of the avenues of lacrosse that we heard you take?
I tend to when I try to give a lesson to kids, I tend to tie it into a story. So I'm in the student union, probably 90, or what year it was? It was 2011, and there's a Peace Corps recruiter, has a table set up. So I start chatting with her. Her name is Stacey, and still a very good friend today. And I start talking about Peace Corps, and Pat and I had talked about it when we were back in college. And so we chat, and so I get home, and I say, Pat, you want to go to a presentation tonight? There's a gal giving a presentation on Peace Corps. He says, sure, let's go. And so we go, and about an hour later, the hook was set, and we started thinking about it. And we were incredibly lucky. We ended up in Tanzania. Imagine me trying to learn another language at 60 years old, but had to learn Swahili. And our village, everything was just was perfect, and it changed my outlook on life. Maybe I'm not sure I would have been ready as a 23-year-old to do Peace Corps, but as a 6-year-old, I was ready, and we had a lot of young people in our group that I learned a ton from, and the villagers, and we still have a number of great friends over there today. 11, 12 years later. One quick story. I was walking down the road one time. One of my best lessons that I learned. So I'm walking down the road, and there's this woman, and I had passed her a dozen times. She always had her head down, and I thought she was mad at me, whatever. And then one day, I greeted her in the local dialect. I said, Magura. That's how and she came up, she smiled, and we became very good friends. She invited me to her house for tea. So the lesson I learned there was take time to say hello. I'm walking. We walk around campus here, and everybody's looking at their iPhones or they have headphones on. Take time to say hello to each other. That's the one thing I pass on to our. I really feel it's a lost art, the conversation. So that's my gift. We'll see.
Definitely. Any specific shout-outs or thank yous that you want to
too many
talk about?
Too many. I'll make it quick here. But President Zaki, thanks for showing up. And I got to tell you, when I go to games and playoff games and I see her in the stands, it really warms my heart because support and leadership comes from the top. And when you see her supporting her and her husband at games, and I feel like we're really valued, and that hasn't always been the case here at Bowdoin, over the years. So thank you very much for doing that. Tim Ryan, thanks for your leadership in the department. Honorees tonight, congratulations. I had the fortune, other than Bill, I had the fortune of watching all you compete. So thank you for that. Nick Stoneman, the committee, Lindsay Lassard, the alumni office, Bowdoin Athletic Department coaches, our current lacrosse coaches, Bill Mason, Donald Mullane, Zach, the young men, and the guys that were my assistant coaches over the years. There's a number of them there today that were great friends, coaches, and brought a lot to the table. My two guys from my college days here today, Ray and Bill, thanks for coming. You guys are special. I love you. Players past. It's all players, thanks for showing up and supporting me, supporting the program. Paul, Linda, my brother Paul and his wife Linda, my sister Marie, Cal came up often to see them, and then my family. Jenna, Ben, Madison, Camden, Annie, Cole, and last but not least, Pat. She's been the steady force. Been my co-coach for a number of years. We had the family. My kids grew up part of this. All you guys were incredible mentors for them. My daughter always wanted to be number 17 or number 19. You guys figure out who had those numbers, but. And both became Division I lacrosse players. The sport lives on. My daughter's a coach. Her husband's a coach over at Holderness School in New Hampshire. My son still plays summer league. The sport defined our family, quite frankly, and so relationships are strong. And again, back to Pat again. Just she's been the glue that's kind of hold it all together. She was the one that had to put up with me when we lost a close game and celebrated the wins. We used to pull the bus up to, you guys know where Longfellow School is over here, right? We'd pull the bus up because it was hard to get somebody to keep the book back then. So my wife would do it. So she would do it. We'd pull up to the elementary school and my kids would jump on the bus with us and go to a game. That doesn't happen. I'm not sure it was the right thing to do, but it was the right thing for us, and it demonstrated the value of family. And hopefully we were able to share that family with our team.
Well, Coach, thank you so much
for
everything you did for the community and continue to do. Thank you. Coach McCabe.
Congratulations, Coach, and congratulations, Pat, as well, on this great recognition for you and for your family. I'd now like to welcome Carly Davey of our women's basketball program to introduce our next inductee. Carly is a two-time captain of our women's basketball team, and she's also been a critical member of back-to-back NESCAC championship teams for our program. And Carly is completing a digital and computational studies and economics coordinate major at Bowdoin. An all-NESCAC academic team and women's basketball all-NESCAC team honoree who has scored nearly 700 points, registered 206 assists, 93 steals, and not to be forgotten, 2 block shots during her career. Carly is also a 2-year member of our Student Athlete Advisory Committee executive team, and she currently serves as our social media chair. So please welcome Carly Davey.
Hi everyone, congratulations to all of the inductees here this afternoon. My name is Carly Davey. I'm a senior on the women's basketball team here at Bowdoin, and I'm so excited to help introduce Kristi Ouellette into this year's Bowdoin Athletic Hall of Honor. Kristi, class of 2003, one of Bowdoin College's most decorated and accomplished two-sport athletes, your excellence propelled the women's basketball team to unprecedented heights, including multiple NESCAC championships. On the softball diamond, your achievements set a lasting standard of excellence that endures to this day. A proud Mainer, you marked the beginning of a period of unmatched success for both programs with your extraordinary contributions. The remarkable range of your achievements in women's basketball illustrates your dominance, well-roundedness, and impact on the court. Upon graduation, you stood as the all-time leader at Bowdoin in career blocks with 96, second in career points with 1,449, second in career free throws with 299, second in career free throw percentage with 78%, third in career rebounds with 769, fifth in career points per game with 13.4, second in career field goals with 542, third in career field goal percentage with 49.5%, third in career three-point percentage with 36.6%, and incredibly, you remain in the top 10 all-time in each of these categories today. It's crazy. In your 4 seasons, the women's basketball team won the first 3 NESCAC championships and qualified for the NCAA Division III championship tournament 3 times, reaching the Sweet 16 3 times and the Elite 8 twice. Your steadiness under pressure was legendary, and you posted performances in the NCAA tournament that included a 22-point, 17-rebound effort and a game in which you provided 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 block shots, and went 12 for 12 from the free throw line. Over your career, you were named to the All-NESCAC First Team and the All-New England Division III First Team 3 times each. A natural leader, you were a captain of the team in both your senior and junior seasons. Your coach, Stephanie Pemper, said of you, "She's very respected. She's a good leader. She's just a super, super young woman. I can't say enough about her character and personality." Coach Pemper added, "You feel grateful to coach her for 4 years. She's one of those that you cry like a baby when she graduates." You were a captain of the Bowdoin softball team as well as a member of the All-NESCAC First Team, and you helped lead the team to 3 NESCAC tournament semifinals and 1 final. At the end of your senior season of both softball and basketball, you received Bowdoin's Lucy L. Shulman Award for Outstanding Female Athlete, an honor that recognized you as the female student athlete judged most outstanding over the course of her collegiate career, which you shared with another of this year's Hall of Honor inductees, Shelly Chessie Miller of 03. In 2015, you were inducted into the New England Basketball Hall of Fame as well. Congratulations, Kristi. Your impact on basketball at Bowdoin and in Maine has been unmatched, and it's so exciting to welcome you into the Bowdoin Hall of Honor.
Something in the water with these class of 03s. When you...
This is really special, and I'm really excited to be here.
I mean, yeah, no.
Can I just say that this class and hearing everything about, is this good? Hearing everything about the inductees, just really excited to be here and see everybody and hear all their accomplishments. It's truly an honor to represent Bowdoin sports in general and women's basketball and softball. And I'm nervous because I'm so happy and excited.
I think when we see everyone who comes to support yourself, everyone else who's here, who we're honoring today, it's, past students, past coaches, current students, friends, roommates. What does it just mean to have everyone here and what's going through your head, right now,
I'm just so happy that my parents are here to see it because they put so much time and effort, and just like Shelly said, you said it so eloquently, that they were at every single game, no matter whether we won or lost or how we were doing, they were there. My husband was there. I'm so happy that my kids get to see this, and all my friends and family and teammates and coaches that I know are watching online. It's just really special.
I think that's what makes Bowdoin special, right? A lot of colleges can say that. You feel that here. Did you feel it when you were deciding where to go? Like, how did, it could have been easy to pick another school in Maine.
Bobcat or polar bear? So I grew up in Lewiston, and I lived about a mile from Bates College. So it was kind of like my backyard, and a little too close to home, but Dad could still do my laundry if I came to Bowdoin, so that was a plus. And being a polar bear is the best thing I've ever done.
When you kind of look back at both both sports, right? So the success you had with basketball, the success you had with softball, those teams at that point winning as many games as they did. And if you read the thing, the blurb out there, quite possibly, most likely, the winningest female athlete in Bowdoin college history. Just combining those two sports. How do you process that? Where does your head go when you hear that?
I didn't really know that number until I walked in today. 158 seems like so many wins, but I loved every moment of it. My teammates that I was surrounded with, they wanted to win. Jessie Mayo was my first Bowdoin teammate, who we were arch rivals in high school, so she had to give me the campus tour and was like, "Oh, Kristi." And she'll tell the story today, and she actually is the reason that I tried out for softball, and we just wanted to win. We wanted to do everything we could to win, and the leadership that we had behind some of the teammates on softball and basketball just proved that we were there to make the program happen.
Similar era, or the same era as Shelly, but similar situation in that your teammates, yourself, the success that you guys had in basketball and softball, two teams that are, the pillar of what Bowdoin athletics is. You laid the groundwork for that, the success that you guys had there. Did you know at the time what you were doing? Did you realize it was special? And how did that come to be? Like, what about you guys, kind of set that standard?
I think seeing that one banner hanging in the gym motivated all of us. I mean, it was a learning curve for my first year. The team had success the year before, and it was quite a building year. And by the end of my first year, we started to see that success. And if you go into the gym now, I'm so proud of where women's basketball has gone, and to bring my kids back to see all the banners in the gym. I'm just so proud, because when I left, there were probably 4 banners, and now you don't have enough spots in the gym for the banners.
Being able to leave that legacy and establish, that tradition of winning is one thing. We heard Coach McCabe kind of talk about the things you remember, right? The teammates. And we heard we were hearing kind of about your accomplishments, the character, right? I mean, that's something that keeps coming up. It's the character, it's the person, it's the relationships you have. It's the competitive spirit that you had. How did that kind of, was that a chicken or the egg thing? Like, how did that foster winning, or how were you able to, create those relationships and kind of sustain them as you were kind of going through it in the heat of the competitive moment?
I think for basketball-wise, Stephanie Pemper just ingrained in us the values and the morals that we wanted to have as a team, and in our teammates. I had some great co-captains. Corinne Pellegrini is near and dear to my heart, and we were captains for 2 years, and the people sitting in this room just know the experiences that we've been through. And Dawn Strout was our fitness, I don't know what her, she did the weight training for us. I can't think of what her, 6 a.m. weight training. We all dedicated our time and put in the effort to get to where we were. And she was my softball coach for 3 out of the 4 years, and then Jen Burton stepped in. And I think just looking back, all those coaches and teammates and anybody that supported Bowdoin athletics just knew what we wanted to do and to be successful.
Is there a lesson that you share, something that you look back on, something that you learned in the process, or can look back on now and say, wow, that was pretty important, and I apply that to a lot of other things?
My kids are here sitting. I have an 11-year-old daughter named Elle, and 2 hockey players, and a 9-year-old son that's a hockey player named Emery. And I think lessons for them that teaching them daily is we talk a lot about what happens next in sports. And I kind of connect back to Stacey's comment about mindset and athletes, and that if you make a mistake, it's okay. It's what happens next when when coaches are watching you and you make a mistake. Can you get the ball back? Can you get the puck back? Are you going to work hard for that next thing? Are you going to work hard for your teammates? Because it's really important. It's really important in life, and it's really important in sports and being successful.
Any special thank yous, shout-outs that you want to give? I just want to
Oh
give
my
you
gosh,
four.
I brought up the piece of paper too. It's a
Well
comfort
prepared.
thing.
Very well prepared.
But everybody that's in this room tonight, I actually see Jeff Ward way in the back. Such great memories with filling the gym or the softball field. Everybody that was there, I think I started my career and the gym was empty. And when I graduated in 2003, with a packed gymnasium, standing on the foul line of the NESCAC championships, up by 1, did not want it to go into overtime, did not want to have Bates have another opportunity to score, and hitting those 2 free throws and seeing everybody in the stands go wild because they knew we wouldn't lose. They could tie it, and I think she hit the shot clock on the backboard, but I wanted to be in that position, and I wanted to help our team get that banner and be successful. And the alumni department, the athletic directors, every single community member that came, they're part of what women's basketball became today. And then also I ended up coaching with Ryan Sullivan, and his wife Carrie was my assistant coach, I don't know, one of the first years, and their family put a lot of time into Bowdoin athletics, and I don't know where the softball banners are hung, but I would like to know. Because there's a lot of those now too, but all of my family, my sister's been supportive, my grandparents were able to come to my games, my aunt is here today, roommates, teammates, everybody, I wish I could name them all. And it's just a really special place.
Congratulations, Kristi.
Thank you so much. Kristi, where are we at?
Congratulations, Kristi. Very well deserved. Our next presenter is a senior on our football team, Anthony Hale, a defensive tackle completing a computer science major with a minor in cinema studies. Anthony was a captain of our football team this fall, and he has also been heavily involved with several groups to support the student experience on campus, such as our Athletes of Color Coalition, the Black Student Union, and he was a leader of our football team partnership with Team Impact. Anthony just completed his best season of his career on the field this fall, and he has been incredibly successful advocating for the advancement of the athletic experience for his peers on campus. Please join me in welcoming Anthony Hale to present our next inductee.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm here today to introduce our next inductee, William T. Hale, also known as Bill Hale. Billy Hale of the class of 1972, three-time captain of the Bowdoin wrestling team, and one of the most outstanding athletes in that program. If you would know from your humble demeanor the scope of your accomplishments on the mat, you posted an impeccable 40-0 record in dual meet competitions, landed multiple New England championship placements, and achieved the historic feat of being the only wrestler in Bowdoin's history to score in an NCAA championship. That you did all this in a sport that is rarely enjoyed by the spotlight, where discipline and perseverance matter more than accolades, only serves to underscore the depth of your devotion to the sport and most importantly, to excellence. You never sought attention for your achievements. In fact, many of your closest friends did not know about your unmatched record until your nomination to the Hall of Honor was brought forward. That humility, that quiet strength, is part of what makes you so admired by your peers. They remember you not just as a gifted athlete, but also as someone who is always steady, grounded, and kind. Perhaps inevitably, given your deep commitment to Bowdoin's wrestling program, you return to serve as the head coach, guiding future generations with the same integrity, passion, and respect for the sport and its practitioners that defined your own time and competition. After Bowdoin, you poured your heart into education, shaping the lives of thousands of Maine students in School Administrative District 75 over the course of more than 4 decades. You coached wrestling and soccer, taught at every level from elementary school to high school, and treated each young person you worked with as someone worthy of your time, patience, and belief. As one nominator put it, you were, quote, someone who embodied the ideals of openness, tolerance, and hard work to the young students in ways I can say for me, they remember forever, unquote. You showed up, sometimes literally at their doors. You pulled the best out of everybody, no matter their talent level or attitude. You always led with empathy. You've also served your classmates with enduring devotion, representing the class of 1972 for 50 years. And through it all, you've exemplified the values that define Bowdoin at its best. Quiet courage, deep kindness, and a belief in the value of hard work done for the right reasons. Bill, in recognition of your historic athletic career, your decades of service as a teacher, coach, and mentor, and your lifelong embodiment of the college's highest ideals, we are proud to induct you into the Bowdoin College Hall of Honor.
Congratulations. I mean, when you hear that, you know, your peers remembering the humility, the person that you were, maybe dragging people out of bed to get to practice. Sounds like there's a story there. I mean, what's going through your head sitting at the table with, you know,
I actually did. Can you hear me? I actually didn't do that. It was one of my assistant coaches. We pulled up in front of one of the fraternity houses because we were missing a weight class, and he went in, and he dragged this kid out of bed. We were going to Plymouth State, and he dragged him out. I think he had his clothes on, but he had his wrestling sneakers and his uniform. And we went to Plymouth State. I think he probably lost, but at least we had a person that went.
Take us back a little bit. It's 1967, 1968. A lot going on. You're figuring out where to go to college.
Yeah.
What brought you here?
Well, my dad went to Bowdoin, and he was from Boston, and his family kind of expected he'd go to Harvard, but someone told him about Bowdoin, and he came and he loved it here. And he loved, that was when Casey Sills was president, and Casey Sills' wife really liked my dad a lot. He wasn't a great student, but he really loved being here, and so every summer when we would come up to Maine for a couple of weeks, this was the only road right here that came through Brunswick. There was no highway down there, and he would always take us through the campus and show us where he went to college, and that kind of got me interested. And I was going to school in upstate New York, and nobody had ever heard of Bowdoin College in 1968. But I applied and got in, and I feel the same way about the college. It's really a great place. Unfortunately, my two sons went to Colby.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, I tried. Although they worked here. They worked here during the summer, and but it was that kind of. Let me see if I mentioned everything I was going to say. Yeah, I think it was just a family kind of thing. My uncle went here too, and I have a cousin who's here in the audience who went class of '83, I think. So we have a connection here.
As far as the wrestling goes, we hear 40-0, undefeated, never lost in those dual meets. How were you perfect? What went into being perfect? Are you still perfect?
No. I think I started wrestling in 7th grade, and I wrestled all the way through college, and I was pretty successful. So it was kind of one of those, you're probably good at this, so you keep doing it. And I liked it. The part I liked the most was actually practice. And practice in middle school wasn't that hard. In high school, it was really hard. We had an extremely successful high school team. When I was a sophomore, I was the 3rd person in my weight class. So I got beat up pretty much every day by kids who were a lot better than I was. And I had great coaches in high school. By the time I didn't wrestle varsity till I was a senior. And we went undefeated and stayed undefeated for that high school, stayed undefeated for 60 matches. And when I went to Bowdoin, my coach was Phil Saul, Boulder we called him, and he didn't know I wrestled. So, it was kind of, the practices I think were the thing that helped me the most. I played 2 sports my freshman year, but then we started practice pretty much in September with just us. Illegal, but.
But that was years ago.
That's how you did it,
Yeah.
And then when Phil was finished with football, he'd come in, and he was not a great clinician as far as teaching us moves, but we had enough expertise in our room that we taught each other everything. And my good friend John Moncure is here, and he came when I was a sophomore from the Navy base, and he was a great clinician, and we learned a lot from him. So obviously you don't start out to be 40-0, but it just kind of, it happens. And it's not that I was thinking about myself. I don't think I realized that I hadn't lost a match at Bowdoin, wrestling for Bowdoin and dual meets, until the last match my senior year when they announced it, before I wrestled.
Perfect.
A little bit
Right.
intimidating.
That's what you want, yeah.
I think really I got to be a much better wrestler in college than I did in high school, because I had really good people to wrestle with. One of them is here, Jimmy Coffin, and I think Jimmy and I spent 4 years wrestling each other every day of the season. And then we both became coaches. He coached at Morris, and I coached at Mount Ararat. So we were competing all the time, in a good way.
With the coaching, I wanted to ask, how your experience at Bowdoin, because you spent time coaching at Bowdoin as well as in Thompson.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, and did you know, as you're wrestling at Bowdoin, this is what I want to do? I want to be able to kind of give back.
I always wanted to be a coach, and maybe a high school teacher, but I started out teaching 4th grade. And I would still come to practice here. I don't think Mount Ararat had started yet. And then when Mount Ararat started, I was the assistant coach, and we would come over here once in a while with our wrestlers to give them some, like they called it fresh meat, people to throw around that were younger, and they could kind of, wrestle a different person. So I kept the contact with the college, even though I was coaching in high school. But coaching here really it was very nostalgic for me. I felt like I could offer a lot as far as instruction for kids that, Phil was an unbelievable coach. He got us in the best shape we could ever be in. And his attitude towards things kind of put a determination in us. And our practices were so hard that the matches were kind of easy. I think one of the things, that I thought about when I went out on a mat is that, and someone else mentioned this, I think Stacey, that I was pretty calm. I wasn't nervous. I was kind of, I don't think you could tell if I won or not by how I looked afterwards. But you really do need all those people with you on your team, even though you're out there kind of like this one-on-one, But you come back and they're all there, and your coach writes down everything you did wrong and tells you the next day of practice what you need to work on, and you work on it with your teammates. And someone else mentioned it was a hard time remembering specifics. I think I can remember the moves that everyone on my team was good at, because I wrestled with them so much that I knew what they did.
What was the name of your go-to move?
Mine, I had a pretty good single leg. But wrestling's not that hard. You don't need to know that many moves. You just have to be able to counter all the other ones.
Well said.
So someone said wrestling is making someone do something they don't want to do, but they can't stop you. So I guess they couldn't stop me. And I wasn't like fast or quick. I just, I would work on something methodically and deliberately. And then if I had to be fast, I was. But, like when I'm on the bottom, I knew once I controlled the other wrestler's hands, I was out, even though I was still on my hands and knees. So.
Any shout-outs or messages to, current student athletes or thank yous that you have?
Well, let's see. I think that probably the most important people in my wrestling career were all my coaches. I had 5 or 6 of them who really taught me various things about wrestling and about what's important. And I think what I learned was important is that no matter what happens, there's always another match. So you can't think, you can look at what you did wrong. I remember the matches I lost, and I don't remember most of the matches I won. But there's another one. And the other thing is that practice helps. A lot. You can't just go out and do it. But a shout out to, I think, all my wrestling fraternity brothers, I guess, who are here. There's a lot of them. A couple I coached, a couple I wrestled with, and a lot of my classmates I've seen. All my kids showed up from places as far away as San Francisco and London and D.C. My coach, John Moncure, and he coached with me and he coached me. And most importantly, my wife, who welcomes rowdy people into our house at the end of the season. I remember we would buy food for the wrestlers, and they'd come over and we'd give awards, and I won't tell you what the awards were. But although one was, Hank Bristol is here. I think he found this bone of an ox in the desert, and it was bleached white, and he brought it back, and every year we used to give what we call the Fat Bone Award to the wrestler who gained the most weight between the end of the season and the breakup party. And we'd write their name on it and put the number, next to it.
Well, congratulations, Bill.
Anyway,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, Bill. Our final presenter today is a senior captain of our field hockey team, Andrea Di Teodoro. Andrea is a all-NESCAC academic team honoree majoring in computer science and Italian studies. Andrea started all but 7 games during her 4-year career at Bowdoin and helped our field hockey team return to the Sweet 16 this fall. She is actively engaged on campus as a member of our Student Athlete Advisory Committee and is a computer science learning assistant. And if you talked with Jim Caton, who I mentioned earlier, perhaps her most important contribution in Jim's eyes is she's a steadfast member of our stat crew at basketball and lacrosse games throughout the year. So, Andrea, it's my pleasure to welcome you and thank you for being here to introduce our last inductee of our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Di Teodoro, and today I have the absolute honor of introducing Julia King. Julia A. King of the class of 2009, your dominance as a midfielder and vocal leader helped propel Bowdoin's field hockey team to 4 straight NESCAC titles and its first 2 national championships, establishing the program as among the most successful in NCAA Division III history. Simultaneously a standout in defense for the women's ice hockey team, you set an enduring standard for both hockey programs and inspired your teammates with your leadership, commitment, and sportsmanship. You are best known as a pivotal figure in building one of the most celebrated eras in the history of the Bowdoin field hockey program, which included back-to-back NCAA Division III championship titles in 2007 and 2008. In each of those years, you were named a first-team All-American, as well as a member of the All-NESCAC First Team and the NFHCA All-Region First Team. Celebrated for your ability to make those around you better, you stand to this day as the single-season leader in assists with 21 in 2007, as well as a career leader in assists with 47, which, if you saw on the board out there, is more than the goals allowed during her 4-year career at Bowdoin. During your Bowdoin career, the team won 74 games, while losing just 5. At the same time, you paced the women's hockey team as a stalwart defender and key contributor, leading with both grit and grace. In your senior year, you were honored as a member of the All-NESCAC Sportsmanship Team and received the Women's Ice Hockey's Founders Award, which is given to the player who exemplifies enthusiasm, dedication, and perseverance. Also in your senior year, you served as a captain of both the women's ice hockey and field hockey teams, an instance of dual leadership that was as rare as it was well-deserved, helping you earn the Annie L. E. Dane Trophy for outstanding leadership. Following your graduation, you went on to coach field hockey at the collegiate level, first at Trinity College and later as the head coach at Wellesley College. You modeled the same values that you lived as a student leader at Bowdoin: hard work, team-first mentality, and a belief in the power of sport to shape character. At Wellesley, you coached the team to 3 of the 4 most successful seasons in program history, including 3 NCAA Elite 8 appearances and 2 conference championships, while being recognized as the NCAA Regional Coach of the Year, the NUMAC Coach of the Year, and the ECAC Coach of the Year as well. Julia, for your record-setting performances, your relentless drive to raise your teammates' level of play, your critical role in helping to build a championship program, and your inspirational leadership, first as a captain and later as a coach and mentor, we are proud to induct you into the Bowdoin College Athletic Hall of Honor. Congratulations.
Unbelievable, just hearing those numbers and thinking back to where the dynasty, I think you could call it, all started. That's kind of where I want to begin. Let's rewind. It's the fall of 2005, maybe late summer. A younger Julia has just stepped onto the Bowdoin campus. Maybe it's the first practice. Looking back now about what would come over the next 4 years, what would you say to her just about what you are about to experience?
I think she would be shocked. My first week on campus, I picked up a couple nicknames. One was Grandpa for the Grandpa sneakers I wore on the turf while everyone else was sporting their very cool turf shoes. The second was Bambi because I don't think I'd totally grown into my limbs. So to be sitting here is an absolute shock, and I'm so deeply honored, but I also want to acknowledge that this is a direct reflection of the teammates and the coaches that I had. I played team sports, and you don't do this alone. So I'm really grateful for this honor, but I wish all my teammates were up here with me.
I mean, the 4 NESCAC titles, the 2 national championships, those teams, the players that you were with in the trenches, the coaches that you had, what do you look back on? What stands out to you about those teams, why they were successful, and maybe what was different from year to year and sort of challenges you had to overcome as well?
Yeah, we had an incredibly special group of people. You just heard a tremendous success in the school's first 2 national championships, but we also faced tremendous heartbreak when Taryn King passed away. Taryn was a remarkable person. She was the one my freshman year, her junior year, who said, when we were doing a goal-setting exercise during preseason and we sat in a circle as a team, most of us were saying things like beat Colby or host an SCAC game. Taryn was the one who said with utter conviction, win a national championship. And then she led us to an 18-1 record, a Final Four appearance. She was first-team All-American Player of the Year. And she died just a few months later. I practiced this so I wouldn't get emotional, but it's hard not to. But I think, even more than being exceptional field hockey talent, she was just full of life and a really special person. For those of you who got to know her, you just knew you were in a special presence. She had this fiery red hair. She bounced around the turf with endless energy. We played the same position, so I was her backup, and I often matched up against her in inter-squad scrimmages, and she was so kind and so humble. And she'd be the first to say, great play, or, oh, maybe try this, and, give me a little kudos during a cool-down lap. So, of course, that loss was just unfathomable. And I want to thank Nikki Pearson. Because, she was the glue that really shepherded us through that experience. And I also want to thank the upper-class women that were a part of those programs. They were unbelievable in their support. We talked a lot about how it would be too much of a weight to play for Taryn, right? Let's play with Taryn. But I think in the back of our minds, of course we were playing for Taryn. And the school's first 2 national championships are both because of Taryn King and for Taryn King.
And her legacy continues to live on current day with the field hockey team and her initials on the shoulder. I mean, going through such tragedy and then such elation in the championship moments, What did that do to this team? What did that do to the relationships that you still have? How important was the togetherness of it?
Yeah, I mean, these are my best friends, and thank you for being here. Yeah, I mean, I think, when you go through something like that, it just changes your perspective. And I think I know, one of your questions is, what would you pass along to people? And I think going through that experience and that tragedy when you're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, it changes your perspective. And what you realize, of course, tomorrow's not guaranteed, but I think what you really realize is to get to do what you love with the people you love is an absolute privilege. And to honor that privilege and show respect for it, you try your best and you show up for each other.
You spoke about the coaching staff's role, Coach Pearson's role in keeping everyone together, right, through all that, and then obviously through the successes as well. As a coach yourself, what did you kind of take away from being on those teams and learning from the coaches that you had at Bowdoin into the success you had as a coach yourself?
Yeah, I mean, again, a major shout out. I got to be mentored by just absolute legends in women's athletics. I mean, Ann Parmenter, the first coach that I worked for here today, she's summited Mount Everest, so she's a real badass. Bridget Belgiavini, an absolute leader in Division III women's athletics. Nikki, I still remember by heart Ann and Nikki's office phone numbers, because when I went to coach at Wellesley, 207-725-3329, 860-297-4189, like, I called them all the time. And I think it was so much fun to coach, and I think that was another legacy of Taryn's. Like, she just found so much joy in what she did, and she gave it her whole heart. And then I think, when you go on to coach, you want to be able to provide that for your players. You want to be able to provide that experience. And of course, there's winning, and that can make it a lot more fun and a lot easier in terms of things like team dynamics. But you just really want everyone who's a part of your program to realize the privilege that it is to get to do this.
Do you have I know everyone sort of had special shout-outs or thank yous or people that come to mind. Obviously, you've named a couple already, but I want to give you the floor for, whatever, direction you want to go as far as your experience and how it sort of shaped you.
Yeah. Certainly my teammates, and I know I've talked a lot about my field hockey teammates, but I learned a lot from my hockey teammates as well. There is no toughness like a hockey player, and the grit and the resiliency there. A lot of them are here too. Kristen Cameron, who's on the Canadian Women's National Wheelchair Rugby team. Just some really amazing people. So my teammates for sure. All of my coaches, of course. I also want to comment on something that Coach McCabe said, which, again, thank you to President for being here. It comes from the top at schools like this to invest in and encourage athletic participation. And when we were at Bowdoin, President Barry Mills was incredibly supportive. That year we won the national championship. We didn't get back till I think like 2 a.m. and it felt like the entire college was here to support that. Professors, staff, folks from Moulton Union. And I think that energy and that sense of community pride was just so important, and I'm so thankful for it, and I'm so thankful to see that tradition continue here. And then I also want to thank my family. The Final Four weekend always fell on my mom's birthday, and I think for 4 years straight I forgot her birthday, which is especially egregious because, like some other folks have spoken about, my parents were the ultimate supporters in terms of driving me all over New England. I mean, if you're a hockey parent, you know how that is. But then, of course, at Bowdoin being incredibly supportive. And then my husband, who's also a Bowdoin alum, Bowdoin soccer, and my son George, who's with him, and then we have 2 6-month-old daughters. So I'm just incredibly thankful for my family, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people I intended to thank, but this is, again, such an honor, and I'm really view it as a reflection of the teams I got to be a part of. So Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Congratulations.
Thank you, Julia. And thank you to all of our inductees for sharing memories from your experiences as an athlete at Bowdoin and life beyond Bowdoin, and leaving us all, I think, with a number of great takeaways to help enrich our lives as we continue on with our day and the weeks and months ahead. A big thank you to David Peck for hosting our conversations today. Thank you to all of you for supporting athletics at Bowdoin and our inductees this year. At the conclusion of our ceremony, I'd like to invite our inductees to come and receive their citations, and Brian Beard, our photographer, will be here to take pictures for you and your family. And again, just a big thank you for all of you coming together as a community to celebrate 6 wonderful inductees and the experience that we aim to provide here at Bowdoin. So I wish you the best, and as always, go you Bears. Take care.